Hey, what's going on? Thank you so much for watching. It would mean the world to us if you could just scroll down, like, hit the subscribe button for the Snaps YouTube channel. It goes a long way towards helping us out. Now, let's dive into some college football. Some guy question for Mike. We know the Hilljacks can't beat UGA, but what are the odds they might beat a down Bama?
I mean, that's a foregone conclusion, isn't it? I mean, Nick Saban couldn't win in Neyland Stadium the last time he stepped foot in there. How in the hell is Kalen DeBoer going to do it with a decimated roster?
How decimated are they, though? Because this is something that I know, I'm sure y'all have talked about it. I've thought about it a lot lately, where, like, if you looked at the staff and the hires, they would be A-plus hires all around, right? Like, these are any school that would get the staff that Alabama just assembled would be fucking hyped. However, it comes at a time when it's not Nick Saban and you are losing guys, but this will still be Kalen DeBoer's most talented team he's ever had. Where's your head at with the Bama expectation?
Yeah, and I kind of agree a lot with what you're saying, T-Bob, but I do love kicking Alabama while they're down, as I know you do. They've dominated the sport for 20 years, basically, so I'm going to have my fun. But you're 100% right. I don't care who they've lost. They still have a top 10 roster in college football. The data that I look at, coaching data, says DeBoer is a top 5 coach, maybe a top 2 coach in the entire country.
You're talking about that matrix analytical thing that dropped today. It's starting to get some waves on in the Alabama circles.
Correct. So they have him as the top on-field coach in all of college football. So take that for what it's worth. I know he's not been at the Power 5 level a long time, but he was the top candidate. If he's as good as they say he is with the roster, and this is by far and away the best roster he's ever had to work with.
Yeah.
I think, T-Bob, and I don't think this is too crazy to say, I think Alabama wins a national championship in the next 2 to 3 seasons. Now, if
Fucker, Mike, don't tell. What the fuck, bro?
I would also go the other way with it, though, T-Bob. If they miss the playoff at any point in the next 3 seasons, they'll run his ass, and they should, because they have a playoff roster, and it's on DeBoer now. He's coming down here. I hate when these people say, "Well, who wants to take that job?" It's it's such a difficult. I don't care about any of that. If you're a competitor, you have just inherited a roster that is national championship worthy. That's why all these coaches, at least the good ones, get in the game, is to win a national championship.
Yeah.
It's all set up for him to succeed. I don't have much doubt that he will succeed. What I have severe questions on is, can he sustain it for 3, 4, 5 years? I don't think he will, because I don't think anybody could, particularly someone that doesn't have the ties to the South that he doesn't have. But I think that's a bigger hurdle than getting Alabama back to the national championship.
Well, like you said, I mean, on the field, we know, like, Kalen DeBoer's a sure thing, right? Like a literal can't miss, essentially. It's the off the field stuff where that's where the potential problems would come in, and not even stuff that DeBoer can control, right? Like, for my local radio show, I cover the New Orleans Saints a lot, and going from Sean Payton being the head coach of the Saints for 15 years to now Dennis Allen, even though Dennis Allen was on staff and knew everybody in the building, they kept a lot of same pieces in place. It has created drama and rifts that it just never healed, because the new guy is not the old guy. And so it's like, can DeBoer overcome those things? That's going to be the biggest hurdle. Shit, on the field with a team he's got, and if Jalen Milroe can commit himself like Jaden Daniels did this last offseason, which, by the way, Jaden Daniels now being mocked 2nd overall by Mel Kiper to the Commanders. Unreal. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. It's, it's funny, Mike. Well, hold on. I'm getting distracted. Yes. So if he can handle the off the field stuff, and I'm not worried about recruiting, I think he'll be able to do that just fine. I think culturally, South Dakota's like the South. Like I said, rules rule. Then, yeah, Alabama should be as relevant as ever, but it's just like, 10-2 makes the playoff, but is 10-2 good enough for Alabama fans? Like literally accepting that you may lose you might even go 9-3 one year. Are you okay with that? That's what I'll have to decide. What I was getting at with the NFL, Mike, it's kind of fascinating. Caleb Williams comps to Patrick Mahomes, right? And Jaden Daniels comps to Lamar Jackson. We have a literal draft proxy war going down in the AFC Championship this weekend as teams try to decide which blueprint they want to try to move forward with between these two. I would not be surprised if Jade maybe jumps Caleb throughout this process. We'll see. He's got a lot of momentum right now.
Yeah, that's very fascinating. But I did want to say one other thing before I forget, T-Bob, about Alabama. One thing that is not being discussed enough, but this is very real behind the scenes. Now, I'm not saying Alabama's poor. I'm not saying they don't pay players, because we all know NIL. Bryce Young, he really kicked off a lot of this salaries for these players. But they got a Nick Saban discount because they knew you could go to Tuscaloosa, take less now. You're going to make significantly more in the future. Mm-hmm. That is no longer the case. I don't think Alabama is set up to be as competitive as the top dogs in NIL right now. Now, they may be in 6 months. They may be in 9 months. I don't know. But that is seriously something to watch, because as this roster, that's why some of these guys are leaving too. They want to get paid because they don't know that Kalen DeBoer can develop them, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, to get them to the NFL like they knew Nick Saban could.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's a great point, Mike. And especially because, well, Nick Saban did wonders for the Alabama economy, and it's actually, I want to say it's pretty strong compared to its neighbors. Like, I live in Louisiana. We're dog shit. Mississippi's dog shit. I can't speak on Tennessee, but Nashville seems like it's kicking ass, right? So like, and look, I think there's a very, like, Birmingham seems like it's got a ton of investment going on. So Alabama has its moments, but like, I don't think the Alabama economy holds up against like Ohio or Georgia, right? And those are the two schools that are similar in that, look, they have massive state economies. They've got really one flagship that people give a fuck about. And so they're going to have more money to spend. And like, that's why you see someone like Caleb Downs hitting the portals that, okay, well, now Saban's not there anymore. I can just go maximize my worth now. And I learned a ton of great lessons, and I'll still get paid in the NFL going forward. Let's get to a question here from Kenneth Crosby. Boys, are college football fans ready for the facts that 6 conference champs are guaranteed a spot in the playoff without a Pac-12? That means 2 G5s. There's no way they're putting 2 G5 teams in.
Yeah, I think they're in the process of amending that currently.
There's no fucking way. It's going to be the Power 4, one group of 5, and then all at large, right? I mean, surely there wouldn't be anything else.
That's, by all reports, that's what they're going to do. They have not confirmed that yet.
Andy J, has the incoming coach ever won a natty after replacing a legend? Les Miles won one 2 years after Saban left. And that was kind of, now that was a 2-loss team. That was fumes. He kind of did it on Saban's fumes. Hey, credit to Miles. He made it back with his own squad in 2011. But yeah, actually it's happened a lot in college football, right? Larry Coker, Miami back in the day.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if Butch Davis is a legend, but certainly Larry Coker did it.
But like there's been coaches who have won natties and then later been kind of exposed as maybe like not as good as you would originally thought when they were holding up that trophy